Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. Competition is getting hot in the minigame district as Red Dog has continued to lay the ice across this slice of land. My land was made, of course, for you and me. I'm going to take down this sign because we don't really need that quite at this point. We are going to be continuing to expand our roller coaster in this episode. I've got my first kind of redstone sequence already set up in our previous episode, but now it is time to just lay a ton of track, and there is no looking back. We got to forge ahead with stone that will lay a foundational bed for the scaffolds that will excite and terrify my good friends on the server. Now, what I'm thinking I want to do is have this, we've already got it kind of go up, and it pauses, it's going to continue upward a little more. The great thing about roller coasters is that they can terrifyingly loop. So what I want to do now is have this foundation here go down, because we're going to have the coaster itself drop precipitously. We can actually do all sorts of fun things with roller coasters. And what I want to do is have it actually loop back up through that hole there. You might say, Joe, I don't know if you can pull that off. Well, you know what? A lot of people don't have faith in me, but that's okay, because I'm not the aliens from the later seasons of Stargate SG-1 who depended on the faith of others to power their mystical space powers. I don't have mystical space powers, for one, which is a huge time saver, you know? I got other things to do. Oh no, I went too far. I overshot it. This is why we lay the foundation first, you guys, so we can make sure that we know what we're doing, we know where we're going. Everything is... Oh, well, actually, maybe we need to go one more this way. There we go. Excellent. So yeah, we can start laying our scaffold here on top of this firm foundation of stone that should not exceed my own capacity to, with alacrity, contemplate the fates of my friends from beginning to end. The real secret to this part, I think, is going to be actually getting the coaster to go... Oh, you know what I'm realizing is that this lower part here can't actually be too much lower than the surroundings, or the cart might clip. So we're going to just have that go like that. I think that'll be okay. Whoops. And somehow I'm just throwing scaffolds places. Whatever, it's fine. It'll be fine. We're making scaffolds and we're making games. We'll figure it out as we go. Time skip. As I work on extending this platform out, that it might yet be a practical solution to all of our redstone-related platforming problems, there was one topic I wanted to delve into with a little bit of depth today, you know? And I don't know if you've seen, like, athletes and sports stars and whatever say, like, oh, you know, I never wanted to be a role model. You know, kids shouldn't look up to me. Well, I don't know. I've got a kid, and kids tend to admire anything that seems cool to them. Now, in fairness, the world is full of cool things, and so there's a lot of good reasons for kids to get excited. But, you know, at the same time, I don't think that people can really choose whether or not people look up to them. Like, that's just kind of a function of what are you doing with your life and how visible it is. Because if you're doing anything sufficiently impressive and sufficiently visible, somebody somewhere is going to admire you. So you don't have to be Shaq for this next part of the video to be relevant. Although if you are Shaq, hi, I really liked you in that movie where you are a genie. Thank you for making that movie. Okay, next problem. So, everybody who's not Shaq, here's the thing, is, you know, sometimes people will admire you for things that you're like, oh yeah, of course, that's what I do. Like, if you're, like, really good at chess, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh man, that guy's great at chess, like Kasparov or whatever. And then they'll be like, oh man, I want to be like Gary Kasparov. And that's cool. But, like, sometimes people might admire you for things or try to emulate things that are not what you are necessarily, like, doing as your core thing. Like, sometimes there are athletes who Like, kids look up to them because they are excellent athletes. But then when those folks don't necessarily exhibit the best life choices, kids might want to emulate those life choices too, which is where this all becomes problematic. Anyway, what I was going to say is, I've noticed recently in the Hermitcraft fandom, there's been some people saying some things about me. And, that's okay. First off, I'm just going to say that's okay. At a certain point, when you make things that go on the internet, once again, this is a function of visibility. Like, parts of what you do and what you create become separate from your own identity. They become kind of like, people imbue your work with their own thoughts and processes and things. And that's fine to some degree. But I worry sometimes that people might get the wrong ideas about certain things, about my artistic process or about my creativity. And specifically, I've seen a lot of comments lately saying that I seem like one of the most optimistic people. And wow, you guys, I have no idea how to tell you this, but I'm not, okay? Here's the thing, is when I come out here and I make these videos, this is my craft. This is my hobby. This is something I make because I enjoy it. And I want people to see what I do and to want to have that same joy for themselves in their own hobbies and in their own crafts and things like that. But I don't want anyone to ever watch my videos and go, man, how come that guy's always so happy and I'm not? What's wrong with me? Because let me tell you guys, there is a lot in this world that is kind of a downer, quite honestly. It's a rough world out there. I've had to deal with my plenty of problems. I've had to deal with educational debt that took me about a decade to pay off. I've had to deal with medical and digestive issues that took me years to learn how to manage. And when I hang out here, making fun things on this server, this is one of the best parts of my day. In terms of the kind of, it's in this sweet spot between I get to do what I want to do and I don't have to worry about really screwing up anything too badly. Because let me tell you, one thing about being a parent is you spend a lot of time just so filled with pride and joy and excitement about seeing your children grow, but you're also like constantly worried that something's going to go wrong or you're going to screw something up. So, I don't want to say like, oh yeah, this is the happiest part of my day, but this is the part where I am the least terrified while also enjoying myself the most. If you were going to look at like how those graphs go, this is a more relaxing joy than some of the other things I do because this is something I do as a hobby. And, I want folks to watch these things that I make and enjoy them. I want them to see that it makes me happy to make them. But, I don't ever want people to feel like, oh man, how come Joe Hills can be happy all the time and I can't? Because that's not the way the world works, folks. The world is a difficult place for everyone. Everyone's got their troubles, and everyone's doing their best to get through them. And that's why it's so important that we try to be patient with people who, I was going to say people who we might not know all the details of their life, but honestly, that's literally everyone. No matter how close you are to somebody, you don't know all the details of what they're struggling with at one time or another. And so, I want to just encourage folks to, think about that as they look at people they admire. Don't look at me and say, hey, there's a guy who's got it so figured out that he's never stressed or never tired. He's always so excited and awake and alert. It's like, this is the most active, excitement voice that I do the whole day. I put a lot of energy into making these episodes fun and active, but nobody's on like this 100% of the time. You know, it's an impossible standard for folks to try to hold themselves to. So, I just, that's just something I was thinking about. And, you know, we all have, oops, why did those not continue? We all have different things on our plates from time to time. And even though, you know, at this point, I've paid off my debt and everything from school, which was one of the biggest stressors in my life for years and years, you know, I've got all sorts of other things that I've got to think about all the time. Figuring out how I'm going to set a good example for my daughter as I look at some of the things that are going on in the news, you know. It is a rough world out there for a lot of people right now. And I want to do what I can to improve it. And I'm continuously wondering, am I doing enough? Probably not. Certainly not. That's the thing, is that no one person can ever do enough. But if you want to make the world better, that's a long-term goal. That is not something that you do overnight. That's something you achieve over an extended period of time. And realistically, it's the sort of thing that you need to take breaks from. Not necessarily like long, indefinite breaks, but you need to rest so that you can work to your fullest potential and you can come in fresh sometimes, you know? And this is making these episodes is part of how I approach the world fresh. How I keep myself from getting too far, just kind of despondent, honestly, about what's going on in the world today. I want to see all people treated with respect, and that's not happening in a lot of places. And as a citizen of a nation where that is a problem, you know, I have some obligations to pay attention to that, to refuse to look away. But this time, when I'm making these episodes, this is when I take a break from that. And so, you know, I want to encourage people to, engage with the world and be prepared to do great things. And recognize that one of the ways that we prepare to do great things is we take breaks when we need them. So, anyway, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and think about how to get these rails to be as terrifying as possible, because I feel like I've almost got this worked out, but I might need to take a few minutes off camera and just mess with the formula a bit. I want to have some jumps in here that are not too crazy, but just kind of gradual jumps, and also I don't want to plant scaffolding off the side there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that and ponder on what I've just said for a few minutes. Time skip. We are back here in the shopping district. There is gold, or so I have heard, that is sold, or so I've inferred. Okay, for 4 diamonds, we can actually get 4 stacks of this. Now, you might say, Joe, should you really get rid of all of those diamonds for all this gold? We need a lot of gold. We got to make so many powered rails for this roller coaster. It might as well be called a railer coaster. Or a railer power coaster. I thought about that a lot less than everything else I said this episode. Time skip. Well, no, that's not how you jump to the sky. That isn't either. Come on. Thank y'all so much for putting up with my little rant there. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've been working on in the meantime. I got this roller coaster here where you start flying. Whoa, what's that down there? That's going to be a lava pit. Right now it's a redstone pit, but you won't get diverted into there unless you are very unlucky. Same thing for this. Whoa, no, I'm very unlucky. I fell in the lava. And so what I'm going to kind of do is have the roller coaster have a combination of drops, turns, things like that. And I haven't added the dispensers yet that'll dispense the tickets, but there'll be dispensers along here based on your page turns. I think that this is a good kind of... We've done proof of concepts before in our redstone lab, but this is a good example of how this would go. So if I break that block, which is going to be hooked up to timers and things later, obviously I would just continue this way. and the roller coaster will keep going around. We're going to do quite a few loops, quite a few turns. Now, of course, if this block is broken, then boom, you're going to go straight into that drink. What does that look like? Let's go find out. Let's go find out what it looks like to go into that drink. Let's press our luck. Although we're not actually going to play the whole game. We're just going to press our button that we know will certainly put us in the pit for entertainment purposes only. So, like, you start dropping and you're like, whoa, is that lava down there? Yeah, that's lava down there. Okay, we're going in the lava down there. So, yeah, I think that's gonna play well for folks on their videos. You know, I want to make sure that whatever I create here is as fun to watch as it is to play. Because, you know, this is a Let's Play server, but y'all are doing something too by watching. So I want to make sure that I recognize that. Anyway, you may have noticed that this episode was mid-roll ad-free. That's thanks to $50 a month Patreon sponsor Winnie T. Ford. In lieu of that mid-roll ad, I will now read a haiku of my own devising. Take a few moments. They're yours, for yourself, you see? You may share them, though. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.